Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. It is a rainy, stormy day here on Cedar Creek. It has been for the past about 3 days. Most of our rain and storms have come overnight, but we have had a few days that it's rained in the morning times. Today it was rained in the overnight, rained this morning. And now this afternoon we've got storms coming back in. It just started to sprinkle. And it's breezy outside, and I wanted you guys to be able to hear me. So here I am out here in the farm truck, and I've got the door open because if I turn the farm truck on, you can't hear over the diesel engine. So anyway, here we are. Before I get started too far on today's video, I wanted to say thank you to those in the last video. I had little Rowdy with me, and some of you noticed that he was pulling on his ear a lot, and I had noticed that too and was kind of concerned that maybe he was working on getting an ear infection, and y'all had the same concern, and I had shared that concern with Cheyenne as when she got home that evening, before I saw all of y'all's kind remarks and comments on YouTube expressing your concerns that he might have an ear infection. And just to let you know, he's okay. He's not sick, does not have an ear infection. No fever, no anything. He is teething, and he's taking his sweet time just like Howie did. He's got 2 teeth. He'll be a year old at the end of August, and so he does have 2 teeth. He's still working on, obviously he has a lot of teeth still to go. Howie is getting more and more teeth all the time. He's got some of his back teeth, and he's filling in all through here. And so they have had a little bit of issues because of their teething. He's learning to walk, and he's able to stand up and takes a few tentative steps holding on to something. So it won't be long and he'll have a little bit more freedom like his brother does. But we wanted to say that we thank you, we appreciate you for pointing out something that we might have not had seen for ourselves, and kind of try to head a problem off at the pass with his ears. So thank you for that. Now, like I said, we've had rain for the last several days. Needed it so much. Got more coming in now. I don't necessarily need thunderstorms and bad storms like that, but we will take the rain, and it has really cooled off the temperatures. We spent 2.5, 3 weeks or more above 100 degrees with the feels like temperatures and all, high humidity, just unbearable out here. But the last 3 or 4 days has been bearable, has been really nice to be able to try to get some of your chores done with not having all of the trouble and the problems with trying to breathe and having to take so many breaks because it's just too dangerous to try to do it without. We know that other areas of the country are still experiencing higher than average temperatures, and we know that we aren't out of the woods. Now, our weatherman did say that he thought that the weather we experienced last week, as far as the high temperatures, that was probably the hottest that he thought we would have for the rest of the year. Not that we won't have hot temperatures like in the 90s or maybe even 100 degrees, but the intense heat that we've had, he thinks that might be behind us for the year. And boy, oh boy, do I hope that he's right. But I know it's August and I expect temperatures in the 90s, but I'm beginning to feel, I don't know if you guys are doing this or not, but I'm beginning to feel those urges to look towards fall. And I know when we all begin to talk about our fall gardens and our fall flowers and thinking about all the things that come along with fall, you're beginning to see pumpkin spice things and even in the hot, but that's the way it goes. One season goes out before it's even halfway really through, and the next season starts coming in. And so I told you guys to heads up on starting to watch for things that you can get on sale that is summer items. Remember I told you about the beach towels and all of that kind of stuff. And then you'll start seeing the winter stuff come on, because they're getting ready for kids to go back to school and college, and people to come off of their vacations and to really, go back to, summer vacation being behind them. In fact, I think school starts here in the next week or so around here. My niece started today. So things will be, getting back to, hitting the grindstone, hitting the books, and things begin to change. But thank goodness for those cooler temperatures. Now I'm in here because the breeze is blowing. Thankful for the breeze, and it feels really good sitting out on the porch. But I know that until I get one of those microphones for my apron, that you guys have trouble hearing me. So I didn't want to sit out and make a video full of me gabbing away to you guys and you not being able to hear it. So here I am in the farm truck. I'm seeing a lot more buds on my tomatoes, which I know, the big flush of tomatoes is done for a lot of people. I got mine in late, so I'm hoping for a big flush of fall tomatoes. I see a Cherokee purple tomato on these in these buckets that we planted, and I showed you a little how he helping me on a video earlier in this season. I see a Cherokee purple tomato, pretty good sized one. It hasn't turned all the way yet, but it's beginning to, and I'm going to look forward to that. So I've got my eye on some treasures. But I thought we'd just spend a little bit of time talking today about something that I say on almost every video. I try to say it on every single one, but sometimes, every once in a while, I'll let it slip and it gets away from me and I don't even realize that I've left it off. But at the end of every one of my videos, when I'm signing off for the day, telling you guys bye and that I love you, that I really do, I always put another little phrase in there, and I say, keep looking well to the ways of your household. That statement is not just as something that I came up with, that I made up on my own. I can't take any credit for it. It's from the book of Proverbs in the Bible, and it really does say, looking well to the ways of our household. And so we want to make sure that we do that. Now, I've had several people ask me, what do you mean by that? And it's just simply looking well to the things that need to be paid attention to in my household, making sure that I'm doing all that I can to have the bases covered. Now, does that mean that every single thing is taken care of? No. There are lots of things that I still need to work on, that I still need to try to make plans for and figure out how to apply those things to my household. But for the most part, it simply means that you're trying to see to the needs of your family. Now, Howie and I were married before I lost him. We were married for 27 years, and it was we always had a partnership. We worked well together, and I was very blessed with the family, with the marriage that I had. And we had things that we did. He had things that he took care of, and I had things that I took care of. And there were things that we did together to make sure that we were looking well to the ways of our household, including our entire farm. And that meant that there were a lot of things that we discussed and projects that we decided, this was more important than this was at the particular time. Money had to be taken into consideration, and time had to be taken into consideration. And really what we tried to do was to be as well-rounded as we possibly could. What we did was we took a list of all of the things. I was responsible for the household, a list of all of the things that I could think of that we might possibly need over the year. And Howie did the same thing with the farm. He knew what things the tractor needed, hydraulic fluids, and all of the different, tires repair stuff and battery stuff. He knew all of that, and he had a business. He was heating and air conditioning and appliance repair, so he had all kinds of tools. And there were only certain tools that he liked. He was particular to the brands that he used, and so he kept those stocked, and he kept up on all of the things that we were going to need. He tried to keep barrels full of the different feeds that we needed for our animals going into the wintertime. Like I said, our minds begin to shift to fall and winter, and trying to lay in supplies so that we can go through a time that we don't have to worry so much. Howie's business was really busy most of the time. Summertime was his busiest time. Fall and really cold snaps in the wintertime with the heating and air conditioning became another time that he was really busy. But in the wintertime, when especially where we live, a lot of times it's not really cold, like in the teens or even below that. So there wasn't as big a call in the wintertime for repairs as there was in the summertime, as far as heating and air conditioning and venting and all that stuff. And so we knew every year that going into the fall, things would begin to slow down. And they really slowed down after Christmas up until about March or April, and things began to get really busy again. So we had to learn to accommodate in our household so that we had all kinds of supplies laid in, that in that time where it was slow, we didn't have to worry and we didn't have to stress. Now, I will tell you that we didn't always do that. There was a time in our early days of marriage that we didn't pay attention to that span of time that happened every single year, and we would go into it with fear and knowing that we were going to be short and we were going to have trouble. We were going to struggle a little bit. Until finally one day the bells went off and we realized, hey, you know what? The smartest thing for us to do is to prepare ahead and to stock up. So the reason I'm telling you all of this is because there's a lot of people out there that will tell you that that are telling you to prepare are fearmongers, are people that are trying to push an agenda, that are people that are trying to scare you into reacting a certain way. And maybe that's true for some people, but not every person that prepares and puts stuff by falls under that category. I think that it takes very wise people to have provisions, to have a larder, to have whatever it is that you want to call it, whatever label that you want to put on it. It's very wise to put these things by. See, we don't always know everything that's going to come against us. Most often we don't know at all. It blindsides us in a lot of ways. We talk about job loss and a death and sickness and the things that can affect us. And sometimes those things just come out of the blue. And so we felt led by the Lord to begin to live a certain lifestyle, and we never regretted it. We never looked back. A lot of people went and did a lot of things, and if you're one of those people that like to travel, then hey, that's great. You get to go and you get to see things that are interesting and beautiful. That just wasn't something that we liked. We liked to be on the farm. Howie drove and went from job to job. He was home every night, but he drove so much that he really wanted to decompress when he was at home, and he wanted to relax and live an old-fashioned type lifestyle. And really and truly, that's what we both did, and that's what we both loved. So Howie and I began to build our supplies. We first started way back when we first got married. We always had a garden. We always canned and put food back. We always did that kind of thing. But our interests began to grow in being more secure in our supply, more secure in the things that we had as we begin to get older and we begin to get interested. I'm not saying all young people are this way, but for a long time we didn't really pay attention. We voted, we always voted, but we really didn't get into politics and all of the things of the day, you know, because you see yourself as young and that it doesn't really matter for whatever reason, you know. But then we begin to get involved and we begin to understand that the things that were going on that we didn't necessarily like, or that wasn't really a good thing for the United States, we realized that a lot of those things were going to affect us personally and in our family. So we began to pay attention and we began to alter things that we did. We tried our best to get out of debt and was working very hard and very diligently on not being in debt. We were doing very well with that. But when Howie passed away, we still had big debt on the farm because we hadn't had it purchased but just a few years when he passed away. So that's something that I'm still working on, and that's something that is another way of looking well to the ways of your household, is to get your family out of debt. Now, this is something that is a big challenge for me, a big struggle for me, because I'm a widow now and I don't work off of the farm. There are some things that I'm considering. I might possibly have to go to work off of the farm. I'm trying to figure out ways to do things here that I could possibly stay on the farm full time. I don't mean leaving, like going and living somewhere else. I mean going out on a public job. But I'm thinking about doing some things with my chickens and some eggs, and I have some acreage, and so I'm thinking that I might even consider some different cut flower crops and some strawberries and different things like that, just to bring in more revenue for me, looking well to the ways of my household the best way that I can. So I have been hearing a lot of people, and we've discussed this, about people telling us that we're being fearmongers. And I thought about that. I thought, if we didn't try to teach people to prepare for themselves, where are we going to be in the future should something happen? Something big happen, maybe an EMP happens, maybe it never happens. Maybe job loss happens, or a death in the family, or something that just affects your family. Or maybe it'll affect the whole town, or the whole county, or the whole state that you live in. A few years back, it's probably been 4 or 5 years now, the Arkansas River flooded Weber's Falls, which is just the next little town over from us. And you weren't able to go from the bridge in Gore over to Weber Falls because the bridge was closed, and so you had to direct around. A lot of people lost their homes because the water came up into them, and there was lots of issues with flood insurance and all kinds of different things. And nobody saw that coming. No one saw it coming. And so those people, sweet little people, live over there. And some of them are gone now and haven't moved back. But it always pays to look well to the ways of your household. Now, you may be asking me, I've just explained to you why you want to do that: for security, for peace of mind. Your children will appreciate that. When I was a little child in the 70s, Howie and I are just a year apart in age. Both of us, when we were little children, times were rough in the United States. There were gas lines and there were different things going on. And I can remember, although I don't remember all of the specific situations that our families went through, or my family went through, I can still remember the fear on my mom's face. I can remember, bless her little heart, making her list of bills. And she would write everything down, and she'd try to figure out how much money that she could apply to each bill and have enough money still for groceries and all the other things. And she would just have this was every week. Every week. My stepdad got paid every week. So every week my mom would make this paper, and she would have all of her figures of how she was going to pay everything. and she would have grocery list of each store, because where we lived there were several grocery stores that were close together that she could go and get groceries, so she wasn't wasting a lot of gas going from store to store. And a lot of times she was just buying the things that were on sale and doing her best to take what she had in her pantry, the things that she was buying on sale, to make ends meet. And I can remember as a small child, as a young young teenager, seeing the fear and the stress on my mama's face. I can remember that. And your children will appreciate the security of knowing that things are okay. Now, we know that things happen, storms and unexpected things, and we all go through stress and we all go through hard times. But if it's not something that every single week you're having to stress and go through, it puts a strain on things. It puts a strain on families. It puts a strain on relationships. And it's just easy if you just prepare, put things back. Now, different channels will tell you, Appalachia's Homestead with Patera will tell you, and she's right, buy 5 extra items. I think that's a wonderful counsel that she gives there. Because if you went weekly to the grocery store and you bought 5 extra cans of food, you're going to probably spend $5 or less. And that's going to be over 200 extra cans of food that you're going to put on your shelf within a year's time. Besides what you buy for your groceries, that's 200 extra cans of food. Or items, maybe you need to buy a tin of cocoa, or you need to buy a can of coffee, or whatever it is that you need to get. Just buy a little bit of extra and put those things back. It really boils down to, deciding what's most important. Now, I know for a fact that we can be happy without having all of the latest and greatest of everything. I'm not saying that you have to do without on everything, but does anybody really need 30 pairs of shoes, or 20 different sweaters, one in every color? If we're wise about our purchases and we're wise about the things that we put on our shelves, we'll be surprised how much we build up, and we're looking well to the ways of our household. That's food, that is clothing for your children. In my family, we have to think about diapers, and we don't have to think about formula right now, but next year when the new baby arrives, we'll be thinking again about whether she nurses or whether formula. All of those things need to be taken into consideration. And if you can take as much stress off of your family as possible, you will be surprised. Ladies, when we work hard, our husbands are out working, and I know that a lot of you ladies are out working too, and I don't know how you do it, bless your hearts. You go out and you work a full-time job, you come home and you got another full-time job taking care of your family. And it is less stressful when you can put those things on your shelf and just know that they're there to pull out to make meals. So that is my counsel for today, is don't let those out there telling you that you're fear-mongering and that you're spreading all of this distrust and you're causing people to worry. No, we're not. We're just trying to tell people how to stock up and to make sure that we can be a little bit more secure, have a little bit more peace about the supplies that we have, that we can keep ourselves out of the stores when crazy chaos is going on. We're not trying to run out and buy the last roll of toilet paper. When all of that mess was going on before Howie and I got sick with COVID, one thing that I absolutely could not find anywhere I went to the grocery store to get was cornmeal. I had just simply overlooked the fact that I didn't have any cornmeal, or thought that I had cornmeal and absolutely didn't have any. And it was time that we were fixing squash and doing things out of the garden, and I needed cornmeal, and I just absolutely couldn't find it anywhere. So you just never know what it is that's going to send people running for the stores. So many people out there buy these 10 items, buy these 5 items now, buy these 7 items. And a lot of that, I think, is to get people to really pay attention to their channel and to get people to watch and to tune in. And I suppose there's not anything wrong with that, as long as we're not causing fear and causing a big run on things to just get people to buy stuff. You know your own self what you need for your family. Make yourself a binder. I've talked about that and talked about that. Get you a 3-ring binder. School supplies will be on sale. Get you some notebook paper. Or make you a spreadsheet on the computer if you have to. And just take note of all of the things that your family needs. Now, I can show you sometime my binder and show you how I broke it down in vegetables and fruits, if you were talking about food, and dry goods and all of the different items, what I was going to can, what I was going to buy at the store, what, just, I like to be detailed, and so, but you don't have to be detailed, not like what I've done. And so I won't go into great detail on that binder now. I'll make a video and show you my binder and how I just take stock of all the things. Now, Howie had a different system on how he took care of the stuff that he bought for the farm. But I have to do it now, so I will probably switch over to the way that I've always done. But I'll have to learn what all of his things are, because that was his thing, and so I need to learn all about the hydraulic fluids and all of the different fuels and all the different items that he tried to have, gloves and shop rags and cleaners and solvents and all the different things that he thought was necessary. And so anyway, guys, I just want to keep continuing to encourage you to look well to the ways of your household. Don't let anybody discourage you from that. You're not fear-mongering. You're just trying to be prepared. The biggest thing you can do to have peace and security is making sure that Jesus is Lord of your life. And then all of the other pieces start to fall into place. Until next time, guys, this is Josie. I love you guys. I really do. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. And until next time, we're gone.